Welcome to Brothers-In-Flaw Sports. I'm your host, Normie, and my other host is Cunyato. So how you doing, Cunyato?
I'm doing all right, Normie. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, I know it's been a while since we've been on. We've both been pretty busy, work, life. That's kind of what happens. We wanted to do some more shows on the tournament as it went, but hey, it's the way it goes. Looks like Phoenix Animation was first in here. Of course, that was at like 3 o'clock today. So yeah, uh, you want to go into uh, the bracket challenge first? See how
Uh,
everybody's doing.
yeah, sure. That sounds good to me. Um, it's uh, it's been a wild ride this year. 2021 has brought, I think, by the numbers, the most upsets in tournament history.
Yep. I mean, it has been. I was talking to somebody at work the other day, and I was saying that if Gonzaga goes through and wins this, as crazy as this tournament has been, I'm going to be really pissed. Like, I mean, we've had all these crazy upsets. I mean, you got one of the first four in the final four. It's only the second time that's ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if Gonzaga ends up just winning this, especially if they win it like they have been, by like 20 points, I'm gonna be pretty upset.
Um, I second that, but literally just because I have Baylor winning, but playing Gonzaga.
Yeah. Well, at least you got some more points to get. I think all mine are done.
Yeah.
Mine just absolutely fell apart when Illinois decided to lose to what was it, Loyola.
Yes, it was, and yeah, this year, and it started early in round one. There was a lot of people who just decided they would go ahead and shit the bed first thing right off the bat. Ohio
Yeah,
State. I mean, there's just a whole laundry list of them that just it. I don't know, the first 3 or 4 games I think we got through um, the first weekend, and I was like, okay, so far so good. And then when it started to go bad, it was like an avalanche.
yeah,
It happened so fast. It's like every single game that I needed to go one way went the exact opposite. So I'm actually pretty glad that we don't have footage out there of you and I breaking down each other's brackets. That's the show that we wanted to do, but everything got pushed. Like Normie was saying, life happens. Um, but yeah, if we had put that one out there, we probably would have looked the dumbass.
yep. Well, I think a lot of people have this year. I mean, it's you. I know I was in some other like bracket things, and a lot of people had Illinois in their championship bracket. I mean, there were some that had Alabama in there, which I knew that shit wasn't happening. I didn't think they would go out when they did, but like you said, I mean, it's been a crazy, just crazy tournament, and a lot of people have egg on their face. I mean, I almost thought about bringing out the helmet of shame because mine was just bad.
I don't think anybody's is good other than whoever Chris Barnes is. Whoever
Yeah.
you are, excellent job.
Well,
Uh,
that's how crazy this is. Okay, so I mean, we love Phoenix. Phoenix is not a basketball guy. He's a hockey guy. You know, he's our hockey expert. Well, if you look at Phoenix's bracket, so in the championship, he had Hartford. No, he had Hartford winning, and he had Grand Canyon in the championship against him, right?
it's a man who likes to play the long shots.
Right.
I appreciate
So
Phoenix.
I actually only have two more points than Phoenix. And this is the one that had, Grand Canyon and Hartford in the national championship. So that's how crazy this tournament has been.
Yes, that's incredibly indicative of the way this one has gone this year. Which I would love to say has made for some excellent viewing, but I haven't watched nearly as much of the tournament as I really thought that I was going to this year.
Yeah. It's just been hard to get down, sit down and watch it. I mean, let's see. I'm hoping to maybe make my way up to sixth. I have Gonzaga beating Baylor in the final.
Yeah, Cody, I was just doing the math on you, bud. As far as the nosebleed section goes, you are still in the hunt for first or second place. No. I think you're out of the hunt for first because I think Hicks also has Gonzaga. So that would leave him at first and put you at second if all those things break that way. So, and then I don't know if you can, how far you can sneak up in overall. But yeah, I was literally right before the show. I was doing the breakdown on. I probably got the top 10 or 15 or so, just in our pool here.
Yeah. Alrighty. So what are some crazy teams that you or some crazy games? Let's go to and just look at a bracket. So craziest team that's made it so far.
I mean, it's got to be UCLA. I'm one of the last four in, like you were talking about. The only other time it's happened in history was Shaka Smart's VCU team.
Who just got let go from Texas, didn't he?
Did he get let go, or did he leave of his own volition to go to Marquette? Or maybe like a mute. I'm not even sure. I had heard that he wanted to get out before anything was for sure. But yeah, I do believe he's out, and I can't tell you the details on that. But I think that was his only deep run at VCU. I think he got into the tournament a couple more times and was one and done there. But based on his Cinderella-esque run with VCU, Texas went ahead and picked him up for their head coach, thinking that he might be able to make some of that magic with them. And
yeah,
well, that did not pan out.
No, it did not. That was one of those that really shit the bed. I mean, you're a 3 seed going against pretty much an in-state school, and just shit in the bed.
Yeah,
but it's funny this. So I'm on the Chris Barnes bracket. He actually predicted that one, which was,
He not only predicted that one, he also predicted UCLA moving on past BYU, and if they say had played Texas, which I believe is how mine and your brackets probably look, because we thought that Texas, everybody down here who was paying attention to the Crimson Tide team was thinking Texas would be a big early hurdle.
Yeah.
Didn't have to worry about that one.
No, that and UCLA, I think they beat them pretty soundly. The thing about with UCLA though too is they were down by like I think 14 points or something at one point in that Michigan State game just to get in.
It's like, is it Mike Crook? I can't think of the head coach's name. I'm sorry, guys. I had hoped to be more prepared for our March Madness here. But anyways, whatever speech he gave to them at the halftime of the Michigan State game, that speech has turned that team, because they also came into the tournament losing their last 4 regular season games.
Yep.
So, or their last 4 games. I think maybe one of them was in the tournament, but last 4 overall. And now they're just getting it done. And they're not particularly good at anything, but they're also not particularly bad at anything. They're just a pretty they're mentally tough. I think that that's what they have for them that has kept them going on in this tournament.
Yeah, that, and I guess they just happened to just click at that right time. And I don't know, like you said, I don't know what that guy said, but damn.
Yeah, whatever he said, it's working.
Yep. They need to bottle that shit up. But yeah, some other one. I mean, let's see. Oregon State making it as far as they did was kind of surprising as well.
You know, I was a little shocked by that too. I had them getting out of the first round. Didn't wasn't a real big Tennessee believer this year. They when they were on, they looked good. When they were off, they looked like a not tournament caliber team to me. So, and the Beavers, turns out the Pac-12, that's probably the story of the tournament, is that the Pac-12, people have been sleeping on the Pac-12 and really kind of thinking that even in the group of five, they were towards the bottom, if not the worst of the Power Five in basketball. And we were all dead wrong. They're probably the best. They just,
Yep.
I mean, I guess they're out of conference, didn't cross over with a lot of name brand opponents. I'm not sure what it was, why they got slept on so much, but they had Oregon State, still have UCLA and USC up until last night, and three teams in the Elite Eight from one conference. That's really impressive.
Yep. I mean that. Let's see. So yeah, and sorry,
You're
it's
good.
been a long day. Yeah, they did make a they did make a lot of the other conferences look kind of bad, and they made the selection committee look really bad, and pretty much made them look like they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Well, yeah, between the Pac-12 having all the success that they've had in the tournament and the Big Ten just falling apart like they did.
Yep.
I mean, the only team from the Big Ten that really held up their end of the bargain was Michigan, and even they couldn't really. I mean, that coming in as a one seed and falling short last night, even in a close game against a red hot, I guess that's what you'd call UCLA. Even though their style of basketball doesn't look red hot, it's a very boring style of basketball, but it's effective. Clearly, it's winning. But yeah,
Yeah.
Michigan's the only team from the Big Ten that really got it done. Everybody else that you thought would make noise, like Ohio State going out first round to Oral Roberts, which yeah, that's the craziest game to me. I've never heard of Oral Roberts before in my life.
Nope.
At least I've heard of Abilene Christian. I've heard of Loyola. They make noise all the time in the tournament. I have
Yep.
never heard of Oral Roberts. Being you had some fun at their expense due to their
Oh
name.
yeah.
And well, by God, they didn't make it to the Sweet 16, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, they swallowed it up and made it. Got on their knees and got the work done.
On their knees, off their knees, on their knees.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, I mean, and then you had, Illinois going down to Oklahoma State. Or was it? Yeah, they went down to Loyola. So you have Illinois going down to Loyola, which totally just threw my bracket all in just disarray.
So Michigan's coming in as a one seed, not making the Final Four. That's disappointing, but they were right there. They were in
Yeah.
the Elite Eight. They were right on the cusp. But Illinois coming in as a one seed, what looked to be the hottest team in the Big Ten and one of the hottest team. It was probably Gonzaga and Illinois who I was hearing the most about for favorites to win coming in before a single game was played. And then yeah, dropping in the round of 32 to Loyola just out of nowhere. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's a crazy year. Like I said, the biggest takeaways, broad strokes, is that we definitely should have been paying more attention as basketball fans to the Pac-12, and
Yep.
we definitely overrated. And like you were talking about, between those two conferences, Pac-12 and Big Ten, they made the selection committee and the media look like we hadn't been paying attention. Like,
Yep. Yeah, they I don't know what the hell happened to the Big Ten. I just And it was like once they started falling, I mean, they just kept tumbling.
Mhm. Yeah. It like I said, an avalanche. It went bad. It got sideways so quickly on them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had Iowa, their number 2 seed, in the Gonzaga's bracket. I mean, they went down in the Sweet 16.
Yep. And I mean, you got Luca Garza, one of the best players in
Yep.
college basketball. But look who they went down to, the
Yeah,
Oregon Ducks.
Oregon, the 7th seed Oregon Ducks.
It's, we had it wrong. We thought we knew and we didn't. I mean,
Yep.
clearly, very clearly. I haven't really gotten a chance to talk to you about. You had some uh, actual interest as a fan interest in the tournament with Alabama. How would you rate their tournament performance?
I would give it. It's hard. I would say a B plus because I was kind of disappointed about they them not making it to the at least the Final Four. I think they really had an opportunity to. I mean, if you look down here, especially with Michigan and Michigan not being as good as we thought they were, I I really feel like this was their year and this was their shot. I mean, they had a pretty okay game against Iona. It was really close, pretty early. Then you had Maryland; they were pretty close, and then Alabama ran them out of the gym.
Yeah, if that Alabama team played UCLA or anybody in the tournament, they have a chance of winning. I
Yeah.
mean, they could not miss.
And then you get to the UCLA game and you're down like 11 points at halftime. That doesn't help at all. I mean, the main reason I give the B plus is the free throws.
Yeah, that was
Free throws win in the tournament.
mhm.
Period. Especially in these later games, the Sweet 16, Elite 8 games. That's what wins. And I just I feel like they just I don't know what it was that I don't think their percentage was that bad coming in, but they really shit the bed when it came to free throws. And it wasn't like that Arkansas game where um they ended up losing, but they only went to the free throw line like 5 times.
Mhm.
No, they went 25 times.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and and then I don't know how they just fell apart in the overtime. I mean, you think that Reese making that shot, who honestly who hadn't made a three all game, but that was the only three he made, and I thought they were just gonna okay, we're gonna ride this in there, and that did not happen.
No,
But we got a lot of people coming back. I mean, we're losing, three solid core players, but we have a lot of talent coming back. We got some coming in. I think guys on the radio were talking about a guy that didn't even really play this year who's supposed to be really good. So as long as they keep this up, and I think Nate Oates can, and just keep that culture there that he's kind of built up, that hard hat culture or the blue collar culture, like he likes to call it. Um, I think we'll have something next year. The only thing is, though, you got to look at the SEC. Kentucky's not going to be bad every year. They're,
no, no.
they're not going to have down years like they did this year every year. And they're pissed because we, swept them this year. And they're pissed because of how bad they were this year. They're not even making it to the tournament. So um, I think moving forward, I don't think they're going to win the SEC next year, but I think they'll be a pretty high seed.
Yeah, I pretty much concur completely there. I'd say the tournament, yeah, maybe a B tournament performance in my opinion, but on the season, I'd call it an A to an A plus. I think Nate Oates and that team did an excellent job. In a crazy year, they kept it consistent. It's weird that they fell apart like they did because I do believe that they're 75% from the line free throw shooting team. So, average, maybe a little bit, give or take.
Yeah.
But definitely way below average against UCLA the other night, which is the difference. And like you said, that happens. But yeah, the big problem for them moving forward, even though they have a lot of returning talent, and I do think Nate Oates has them pointed in the right direction, is that the SEC does look like it's going to be a little bit more solid next year. I think, like you were saying, Kentucky is not going to stay down. It would surprise me if Kentucky is not ranked again next year. They should be. They really should have been ranked this year, given the talent that they have. But call that one an outlier. And even take Kentucky off the name, just talk about Calipari. Calipari teams everywhere he's been, he does not have unranked teams back-to-back years, and he does not have uncompetitive teams for more than maybe 2 seasons strung together, and even that's very rare. I mean, generally you see Calipari, with or without Kentucky, and vice versa, Kentucky with or without Calipari. So that leads me to believe they will be in the tournament. They'll be in the hunt for the SEC regular tournament or regular season and the tournament. They'll be back. Auburn, who knows what the NCAA, if they'll decide to impose any more sanctions on them or not. But if they don't, if they let the self-imposed suspension, postseason ban that Auburn imposed on themselves, if they let that slide, Auburn's possibly returning a couple of NBA caliber players. We'll see on that, but definitely bringing in a lot more talent, and maybe they can put it together. We'll see. Once again, Bruce Pearl's a guy who seems to be consistent, although Auburn as a basketball program has no history of that whatsoever.
Well, you look at Bruce you got Bruce Pearl, you got the youngest team in America, and if you can keep Sharif Cooper or what's that, Thor?
Yeah,
JT Thor, I think y'all are going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
you're pretty set.
And so they're a little bit of they're a team that I think is going to be better or improved at least, even if they're not right there at the top of the SEC. They'll be in the hunt for the SEC, I think. And then Arkansas.
Yep.
So just between those 3 teams, I would say is going to make the SEC a lot of fun and really competitive at the top. And then you'd have to throw in Tennessee. They have they've been competitive for the last 3 or 4 years with what's his name, who's coached for quite some time. And then if you can say one thing about LSU with Will Wade at the helm is they can recruit. They're going to have talent there.
Yeah. He just kind of seems like a Les Miles to me. Like, he gets these recruits in, but yeah, they're pretty good, but they never get over that hump.
That's true. I mean, they don't do much with the caliber of athletes that they have. Not a lot of tournament noise, some splashes here and there in the regular season. But yeah, you're right. There does seem to be a bit of a championship block for them.
Because like here, I mean, they lost to Michigan, of course, and then throughout the year, I mean, they lost to Alabama 3 times. Now, one of those times, I mean, it was a straight up beatdown with Alabama making 23 threes, an SEC record. But I feel like they'll probably come back and they'll be, the normal LSU that they are, probably an 8 seed. I just, I hope Alabama can keep what they have or keep the same momentum and keep that same culture there. And I feel like if they do, if not next year, year after that, they can actually make a deep run. I don't know. I just don't see Alabama winning a national championship in basketball. I mean, stranger things have happened. I mean,
That's
UCLA is in the Final Four, and they were one of the first four. So
that's true. That is true.
I mean, it really just count. Just like if Alabama would have won, I mean, they would have had a pretty good shot at getting into that Final Four. Honestly, though, I mean, they're going up against a Gonzaga team who, let's see, so they won 98-55 against Norfolk State, 87-71 against Oklahoma, 83-65 against Creighton, and 85-66 against USC. I mean, they're beating the shit out of some teams.
Well, in that game last night, Gonzaga could have won that by 30 or 35.
Yeah.
The best shooter on their team had an off night, and you could tell that I think they turned USC over 7 times in like 4 minutes, or maybe it was something crazy. It was something crazy, they actually got to lit off defensively and offensively as the game went on, because they knew they had it in the bag. And
yeah,
there were some of these games during the regular season where it looked like they were coasting, but since it became tournament time, they have switched that flipped that switch. Yeah. So speaking of that, unless you've got any other kind of crazy teams or scenarios that have happened previously, do you want to start projecting forward?
The only we went over Oral Roberts. I mean, we went over the dismal performance of the Big Ten. I mean, Oklahoma or Oregon State getting there pretty deep, but again, they were the Pac-12 getting in there. Yeah, let's get into these Final Four teams. So we got Gonzaga from the West Division. We got UCLA from the East, Baylor from the South, and Houston from the North. So I really don't know much about Houston. Like, I haven't really watched them play that much. I think I watched their championship. They beat the shit out of some team in their championship, but I really haven't watched them that much. How about you?
All I know about Houston is that they're supposed to be a very strong defensive team, and otherwise, no, I know very little about them. I know that them and Alabama were tied together many times throughout the season on that borderline being the 3rd or 4th 1 seed or the 1st or 2nd 2 seed, and consistently stayed right in that area all year long. And that's about as much as I can tell you about the Cougars.
All right. Well, they got Baylor, and of course Baylor's lost 2 games. They lost them kind of later in the season. They went on a pretty long run, and as far as their tournament wise, I mean, they won 79-55. They beat Wisconsin 76-63. Had kind of a lower scoring game against Villanova, 62-51. But ended up beating Arkansas by 9 points in the Elite Eight game. And then down here, Houston, 87-56. They had I do remember this. They had kind of a scary moment in the second round. They only beat Rutgers by 3. Then they won 62-46. And then in the Elite Eight game, they won 67-61. So they've had some close calls. So if this is a close game, I mean, at least in this tournament, they've had some pretty close games.
Yeah.
Whereas it looks like Baylor's kind of just, coasted through.
Well, Baylor still, to me, doesn't seem like they have resumed form of what they were doing. They were very Gonzaga-esque in the Big 12. They destroyed their out of conference schedule, and then were rolling through the Big 12 schedule. Were undefeated. It was them and Gonzaga looked easily like the two best teams, 1A and 1B, however you wanted to put them on any given day, any given week for a little while. And then they got shut down for almost a month with COVID issues. It was coming back from that. I think they won their first 1 or 2 games coming back from that, but like really close, really shaky, and kind of against inferior opponents. And it just took them a little while to get their groove. They dropped a couple of games, once again, to people that were a little bit unexpected. And just it didn't seem like they really got their form back. But since the tournament has started, it looks like they're starting to regain that form. And if they can get back to that, which I really hope that they do, not only because I picked them to win it, that's a big reason, but because I remember all of the talk early on in the season about how fun it would be to watch this Gonzaga team versus this Baylor team.
Yeah.
And it would be neat. I like getting the two best teams in whatever it is, whether it's, football, collegiate or pro, basketball, collegiate or pro. I want to see the two best teams play. Even though, yes, that oftentimes means that eliminates Cinderella stories. But if I'm not the fan of the Cinderella, then I'd rather watch the talent.
Yeah. And the game that's going to be more fun and more exciting and all that. No, I totally understand that. I do like seeing some, in kind of early rounds, but then it kind of, everything kind of falls back into place later on. But I do understand what you're saying. Would like to see the two best teams. I wouldn't mind Houston getting in there, especially if they win, kind of a close game against Baylor. Then you kind of know, okay, well, at least Houston's as good as Baylor.
Yeah. I mean,
So, go ahead.
I was about to say at this point, like I said, because I really have not gotten to consume basketball the way that I have wanted to, just one of those things this year. It doesn't matter to me. If Houston gets Baylor and UCLA gets Gonzaga, and that's the matchup we've got, I'll still watch it. All I'm pulling for is a good game at this point. I don't have really a dog in the fight, rooting interest wise, other than bracket stuff. But my heart's not going to be broken either way.
Yeah. So I know this. So let's move over to this Gonzaga UCLA. And you say Gonzaga UCLA. If UCLA wins, I don't think they have a snowball's chance in hell of winning this game.
That would be you and Vegas both. This is the largest point spread in a Final Four in the last at least 25 years. And I didn't get to, like, the person who posted that was currently going back and couldn't find anything for at least 25 years. That might go back even further.
Wow. I mean, I was thinking about making a bet that UCLA wins, and I'll wear a dress on our next live stream or something. I just don't see it happening. I mean, like we've talked about earlier, I mean, Gonzaga has just been destroying these teams. They seem focused, and even like you said against USC, they were kind of having an all, or at least their best player was having an off night, and they still beat USC by 19. I just, especially with UCLA coming off 2 close games, one being in overtime, and then the next game they only win by 3 with a total of 51 points. Now, I will say UCLA does run that kind of slow offense. They are going to run the shot clock out unless they can get a layup. So I don't know how that will affect the Gonzaga's, really high scoring offense if they're not getting the ball as much.
So I agree with you and Vegas and pretty much all of the general public. I don't think UCLA has a snowball's chance. What I do think that UCLA can do, I think they can come in underneath the number because, like you just said, they let the air out of the ball and they're mentally tough and focused. At least through this tournament, they don't let themselves get out of their game. And just by that and that alone, I think that they can keep the score closer than what a lot of people think that it's going to be with the Zags. With all that said, I think Gonzaga's got. I mean, they've got 2 or 3 legit career in NBA players on the team right now, and there might even be 4 or 5 who make rosters. So I just don't think that UCLA is going to be able to overcome that talent gap, and the fact that not only is there the talent gap, Gonzaga's playing with the swag. I mean, they're just playing with a lot of swagger, and it's going to be a tall order for literally anybody to beat them, which once again, Baylor seems to be the only team talent-wise left that can match up, but they also seem to be the only team talent-wise, top to bottom before the tournament started a few months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people have Baylor and Gonzaga in their championship game. Honestly, I went with history on this one. I thought Gonzaga would come in like they've done in the past, get a 1 seed, and then to be out by round 2 or 3. I mean, that's what they've done in the past. They made it a couple years ago. They've actually made it to the national championship, but ended up losing. And it seems like that is not there this year. They are focused in, they are dialed in, and it looks like nobody is stopping them.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. If first off, you're also absolutely correct about their history. I think Mark Few has been there almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
He brought Gonzaga from the ashes to a really solid powerhouse basketball conference or team. They dominate their conference. They dominate, their schedule for the most part, even though they actually do go out of their way to schedule pretty strong out of conference. But they trip up in the tournament. They trip up in the big show. That's historically been Gonzaga since he got them relevant for the last 10 of those 20 years when they look like they're going to be competitive. But if you'll remember last year, everyone was saying that was going to be the Zags year. This is going to be the one where they get over that hump and then, no tournament at all. So I'm wondering if that's part of their swagger, part of the chip that's on their shoulder is a little bit of, it should have been ours last year. Now we're going to make damn sure that it's ours this year.
Oh, man. So, all right. So who you got in Baylor and Houston?
I'm going to go Baylor. And it's really, I've watched Baylor play, and they've got, like I said, a lot of talent. Their starting 5 is as good as anybody's, and they've got good bench players. But I don't know really anything about Houston other than that they're supposed to play a very stifling type of defense. But I watched Baylor the other night, and all 5 of their starters in like a 10-minute period hit at least 1 3 each, and that's the center included. If they can put and I'm talking 5 and 6 feet back from the 3-point line for a couple of their shooters. I mean, the defense could, and they pass really well, and they drive and kick out really well. If their shooters can shoot like that, I don't know if anybody can have a chance against them because they're also long and athletic. So it's not just shooting. Listen, they drive. So I'm going to take Baylor in this one. How about you?
I think I'm gonna take them too. Pretty much for what you said. That's what I was thinking about. Again, like you said, I saw Houston play 1 game before the tournament. And it looks like they've had some closer games. That would be my only kind of edge towards them, is that they have had to face that adversity of having that close game and gotten through it. But I think Baylor in the end they're going to take it. So, all right, Gonzaga, UCLA. I think we pretty much both know who we're
Yeah,
picking on that one.
yeah. I'm gonna shock you here, though, Normie. I'm gonna take Gonzaga.
Yeah, we pretty much start. I mean, don't my kind of like with Houston, with UCLA, the thing that they kind of have that edge is they are kind of like the old Princeton of years ago, where they run that like that motion offense, and they take so much time off the clock, and then by the end of it, they try and just get a layup.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be their only kind of thing to maybe slow them up. I just don't see it happening. I really don't.
Yeah,
Like that I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a 19 point victory. I mean, it'll probably be about 10 or 12, but I just don't see it happening.
no,
That
I'm right there with you.
the thing is, I mean, it's not like UCLA is a terrible team. They have made a great run. They've had a great year. They did not even they weren't even expecting to even make it in the tournament, much less be in the Final Four. So I think it is a great accomplishment for them, especially from how their regular season was. But they just happened to be in that side that would have to play Gonzaga. I mean, that's just the way everything fell into place.
Yeah, I mean, it's and them's the breaks. That's it. The one thing I'll give, I agree with you. I think it's going to be about 10, 11, 12-point victory for Gonzaga. So I think that would be very respectable if UCLA keeps it like that, given what Gonzaga is doing to literally everybody else. And I think in their favor to maybe do that is the defense that they're playing now, opposed to the defense that they were playing in the regular season. I think that they were well outside of the top 25 or top 25 in defensive efficiency. And as soon as tournament time hit, it's like everything kind of clicked, and now they're playing, a top 5, top 10 level of defense, even though that really has not been their brand of basketball consistently throughout the season. It does seem to be something that they have committed to as a unit. And their coach said as much after the first game. It's like, well, I don't know where the hell that defense has come from. I haven't seen that this year. And they've just kind of doubled down on it. So, I'm hoping they keep it close. I'm hoping it's a fun game. And I'm also hoping that I get to watch both of these. It's Final Four time. If you can't get Jazz for this, then why even watch sports?
Yeah, I mean, and it's only going to be 2 games on Saturday, and the championship's on Monday. So speaking of the championship, so we both pretty much have Baylor and Gonzaga. Who are you taking? Baylor and Gonzaga.
My heart says Baylor. But my heart has said a lot of other stupid shit before. My brain generally has it a little bit more accurate, and it's saying Gonzaga. They just seem like too much to handle. I think that this is their year, and I'm sorry to any of you Gonzaga fans out there if I just cursed you. I have been known to do that. I say it seems
Tell
like
me about it.
year. Like that is when I cursed them, but they look like the best team, and by not a super wide margin from what I just recently watched of Baylor, but enough to where I don't think that anybody's going to be able to close that gap. And
Gonzaga fans, I mean, I'm sorry, because Cunyato has a terrible, terrible streak of jinxing things. There's no telling how many times during fantasy football and after the noon games, and then I get a text, hey man, you're beating the shit out of it. Looks like you're gonna win this week. And then I end up losing by a point or two. That's
Yeah,
happened so many times that I get to the point. It's just like, don't even text me. Don't say my name on Sunday and Monday. Don't even say my name.
yeah. I'm banned from texting Normie during the fan any of the professional games. I don't think that I've broached any of that for the collegiate football games. I don't think I've ever texted you anything. Also, I don't know if Saban is. I think he's jinx proof, and I think he's
Yeah.
proven that over so I don't know,
Well,
but
he's always had Jinx insurance, and that's just preparation.
but yeah, you are not the only casualty, as you well know, not just from other people in our fantasy football league, but just I've got a long standing tradition of saying, well, that's it. That team will win. Whether I want them to or not, it doesn't matter. As soon as I say that, there's a good chance that team loses. In epic fashion sometimes too. Just absolute
Yep.
epic fashion.
Well, and I think I'm gonna go with Baylor. I think history prevails, not only with your jinxing, but in Gonzaga's basketball history. I think it prevails, and I think they fuck up this game. And this is finally their game to mess up. And I think Baylor pulls it out.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me whatsoever.
Regardless, it will be a great game if that is the two teams in. I mean, there's still two games that got to be played on Saturday.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I'm ready to buckle down and eat myself some baked chicken, healthy water.
that, or you might be eating crow on Monday.
Oh, I think I'll probably be having a healthy dose of that between one of the two matchups for Monday.
Well, that's about all I got on the NCAA tournament. How about you?
That's it for me. Like I said, guys, next show I promise we're gonna come at it with everything we got.
Yep. Especially maybe our next show will be, we were talking about doing a watching along on the national championship itself. Maybe even have some other people on as well if they want to come on, things like that. But I do actually have a topic that I didn't tell you about.
Ooh, topic. I like it.
So tomorrow is April 1st, and that marks, do you know what it is?
Other than April Fool's Day.
Well, it is April Fool's Day, but it is opening day in Major League Baseball.
Yes, I did know that. I've been super pumped about. Man,
and you're the baseball guy. I don't even really like baseball.
I know. I've actually been super pumped about this. Reading articles. For all of those of you, I don't know if we've talked much baseball on the show before or not. I am a pretty big Braves fan. I was a diehard. Well, I say diehard. My dad watched a lot of baseball. That was his sport, kind of growing up, and his team was the Braves for the most part, or maybe all the way. We watched a ton of Braves baseball for the formative years of my life, and then kind of middle teenage years and through my early 20s, I faded on it because baseball was boring and I had girls to chase and beers to drink. But I have gotten recently all the way back into it. And now I never stopped paying attention to the Braves. I would always flip on their games, here and there. And I'm like a reverse curse for them. You can ask my former roommates, Santana, Monty, anybody like that. I could turn on a Braves game and it be the bottom of the sixth. They're down 5-1, 6-0. And if I watch the end of that game, they might not win it, but they are right there in it by the end of the ninth. Like, it happened constantly. But yes, I have been super pumped because my Braves are very competitive right now. coming off a very hot, abbreviated season. I also will say this. I'm a little bit bummed, first off, that the National League is not keeping the designated hitter. I thought that was – I was against it at first because I like that National League pitchers hit, but it's archaic. It first off, why does one league play this way and the other league play with a different set of rules? That doesn't make any sense. At this point in time, pitchers are such specialists and so injury prone already. Well, just let them pitch. Let them pitch. We don't need them to hit. Let's do designated hitters. Therefore, Marcell Ozuna doesn't have to play outfield, which that's the one place that you can put him is left field. And even then, he's kind of a liability. He's not a great fielder, but he's an excellent hitter. I think led the National League in home runs and slugging last year. So also super pumped that we signed him. Anyways, I'm gushing on this. I am pumped, Nori. I am super pumped.
Yeah, if I had to definitely pick a team, it would be the Braves. Of course, the last time I tried to listen to them was, I think, 2 years ago, and all they had to do was win one game, I think, to get past the Reds.
Yep.
And I was like, I was waiting on the bus for my daughter to get off the bus, and I was like, oh yeah, the Braves are on the radio. So I turned them on, and it was like, all right, it's the bottom of the first, and the Reds are up 11-0. I was like, holy shit.
Yep. I remember that vividly. I was working at my very first landscaping company. I was still with them, and I was racing to get off work that day because I wanted to hear that it was that one game play-in game for the MLB playoffs, which I hate those because baseball should not be decided on one game. It's such a it needs a series, even if it's only a 5-game series. I don't even hate the 3-game series. At that point, you should have enough pitching depth if you're one of the best teams to be able to pull 2 out of 3, in my opinion. But the one game, I hate it. And I get off, and I know that the game's already started, and I get in my car, and I'm racing, and it's one of those super long commercial breaks, so it's almost 10 minutes from the time I get in my car to the establishment that I'm going to just, get in front of a TV at. But right before I get in park, I hear them say, and it's a local announcement, we're in the area, the region there. So we have the regional broadcasters, and they just sound like they've been kicked in the nuts repeatedly. This has been a rough one. This has been a long night, and we're just into it. So 10-0. And the Reds were still batting at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? No way. No. This is some joke or something. And I shut it off in the car. I was like, I have to verify this with eyeballs. I must have missed my radio. Get inside, and all the TVs are on, and it's the Braves just got into their batting order. And I think at that point it was 11-0. The Reds attacked one on from the time it took me to get from the car to the bar. Oh goodness, it was bad. That was a bad day to be a Braves fan.
But I mean, speaking of messing up in the postseason, like we talked about Gonzaga, the Braves are the number one team to do that. They will. I always remember because my dad used to listen to him a lot, and he wouldn't really get very interested until about the playoffs. And then you'd hear, the Braves are the best record in baseball, and year after year after year, you get the playoffs and losing the first or second round.
Yeah, that is their MO. They have done that my whole life, and then when they finally get a team where it's like, okay, this team is not going to choke it away, they sell off all their players.
Mm-hmm.
For most of my life, they've been one of the best. They've either been really, really competitive choke artists or the best farm team in the MLB.
Yeah.
And then speaking of choke jobs and how tough it is to be a Braves fan, and I'm really, really glad I'm just an Atlanta Braves fan. I don't give a shit about the Hawks, and I don't give a shit about the Falcons really, because oh my goodness, being an Atlanta sports fan is the worst. The Georgia Bulldogs. They're teams that can get really close, but never, ever, ever close it. That's them. But yeah, last year, up on the Rays to go to the World Series, 3-1. They have to win one more game out of 3 more games. Just one win. And one of our local radio guys, Jim Dunaway, is like, oh yeah, I'll bet a stake, blah, blah, blah. He said either or for sure the Braves, who are up 3-1 in their series. I'm sorry, I said against the Rays. I meant against the Dodgers. Yeah, they had the Dodgers, arguably, or really not arguably, inarguably the best team in baseball, top to bottom roster-wise, plus they ended up winning the World Series. And then, oh man, who are the Rays down to or up on? I don't know. He parlayed this bet and cursed both teams. In fact, almost cost the Rays as well, because both of them were way up in their series and just fell apart down the stretch, except for the Braves completed their fall. It was incredibly frustrating.
I thought Tampa Bay won. Or did
what?
Because I thought he was so excited that Tampa Bay won.
Tampa Bay did win. They did, because he's got the Buccaneers.
Because they had the 3. They had the Rays, the Lightning, and then the Bucks won the Super Bowl.
Yep, you're right. They did the trifecta.
But the Braves, man, I've watched many a times them just. I mean, what was their record at one point of making the playoff or winning their division or making the playoffs? Like 20-something years.
Oh, it was insane. I think they won the NL East pennant like 9 years in a row, and 7 or 8 of those 9 years got bounced from the playoffs in the first round.
Yeah. And all those times making it, they won one World Series.
Yep.
And that was what, 92? 95?
Yeah, I believe 95, 96 season.
Well, I know it was back when Chipper Jones was pretty young, and I mean, I think he's in the Hall of Fame now, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
So that's how long ago it was.
No, it's been quite some time. Yeah, they in 1995 they beat the Cleveland Indians in 6. In 6 games, that is.
Well, alrighty. Like I said, we're gonna try and do a watch along on the national championship game that hopefully it'll be against Baylor and Gonzaga. Honestly, I have no dog in that fight, bracket or team wise. So we'll see about that. We got opening day in baseball tomorrow. I know Cunard is excited, but I may watch something or keep up with it. I will say, so the Buffalo Sabres, they're on like an 18-game losing streak, but the last time I checked, the losing streak is over. Finally. I think this is the first time they've won since I've came out and said, yes, I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan. This is the first night they've won. They won 6-1.
I know that you got to watch at least some of that, if not, the majority or all of it. I saw you rocking the hat. I meant to mention that at least by the end of our cast here tonight. Super glad you brought it up. How does it feel? How was it?
Well, I got to watch it. They were up 3-1. Of course, I've watched them before, and they've been up 3-0, and then come back and lose 4-3. So I don't know how good the Flyers are. I know they're not near as bad as Buffalo, But I know they after the third goal they did pull their goalie and replace him. So I don't know if that's just it was a fluke on their part. And they just had a bad night, and Buffalo just had a good one. Buffalo recently fired their coach, so they're going to be looking for a new coach here pretty soon. I think their assistant is their interim. It's not like they really. I mean, I would just keep him there until the end of the season anyway, because it's not like they really need to get somebody in there to go to the playoffs. So, but at least they won finally, and it was a complete and total win. It wasn't one of those like shootouts or something. So,
Congratulations, buddy.
Feels pretty good.
I don't know if Phoenix is still on with us. That's another thing for any of you who are watching this now or going to watch it later. Me and Normie will get together about doing something special for hockey playoffs, because hockey and NBA playoffs are going to launch. That's the one thing how I keep up with sports. I know if March Madness is going on. Now we get a little bit into April with it as well. And just a few weeks after that, we've got championship on ice, and then championship again on the hardwood with the big boys.
With the NFL draft in between.
And that one, we should have a special guest. Probably heard him mention a few times, folks. Santana wants to do something special for that one specifically. Mock up a first round draft. So if you guys want to see me and Normie and our buddy Santana fuck around with what we would do if we were NFL GMs, we're going to try and bring that to you.
Yep. That should be pretty fun. And maybe we can even get some other people on here.
Yeah.
They could be GMs. I know we can get up to 6 on here.
Okay.
So anybody interested, just let us know. And that's all I got for us tonight. It's been a good show. Had some fun. Made some picks. Hopefully not too much more egg on my face after these, but we'll see.
You and me both, man.
I did write them down for later so we can go back to them. But yeah, if you ain't got anything else, I guess we'll see everybody later.
All right, we'll see you guys.